Hey, this is Sam with the Nashville Home Guys, and today I'm going to go over 10 common home buying myths that we run into. So let's jump right on into it. The first is I need a high credit score. I talk to so many buyers and potential buyers that think they need a perfect credit score in order to get the best terms. But the reality is, with FHA, you can actually go as low as a 580 credit score and still only have to put 3.5% down. Myth 2, I need to put 20% down on my house. Now, that's great if you can do that, but the reality is that's not in a lot of our financial pictures. Plus, the rates are so low now that it might not be all that advantageous anyways. As previously stated, FHA, you can go as low as 3.5% down. There are also 5% conventional loan programs. And lastly, with THDA, USDA, or if you qualify VA, they have 0% loan programs. So there are many different options to choose from according to your financial picture. Myth number 3, student loans are preventing me from buying. It's just the reality now. A lot of us have student loans, especially if you're in your 20s, 30s, even 40s. But Fannie Mae changed the guidelines to make it easier to qualify for a loan with your student loan debt. So if you're on a low-income tax or a low-income payment program, they'll actually take that particular dollar amount and use that for your debt-to-income ratio. They'll also use your actual payment amount for your debt-to-income ratio. In the past, what they would do is they would take 1% of your total debt amount and use that towards your debt-to-income ratio. Now, some of these guidelines vary between conventional and FHA, so it's always good to check with your lender on this, but just know that they've made it easier. Myth number 4, all lenders are the same and I should just shop for a rate. Listen, I get it, rate is really important, and sometimes it's the only number that some of my buyers focus on. But there's a bigger picture to that. Sometimes in order to get the lower rate, people are charging you more fees. Also, fees and programs vary by lender. So one lender might have a better program for you. And this is why a relationship with your lender is very important. You want to work with somebody that is willing to talk to you on the phone, go over all the numbers, and give you the big picture. And also you want somebody that's going to stay with your file, because maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, it might be time to refinance in order for you to save some money. Myth number 5, I can't use FHA because I've used it before. I hear my buyers all the time talk about the FHA loan as a first-time home buyers program. And actually, it's a program that's backed by the Federal Housing Administration. It's not a first-time home buyers program. So you can use this loan for your life, first, second, third. Sometimes even if you're going to keep your current house as an investment opportunity and buy a new house, you'd be able to use an FHA loan for that as well. Myth number 6, interest rates are on the rise. So since the housing market crash, rates have actually been relatively stable, and rates are historically low. And in 2020, they're expected to remain stable. So if you're worried about volatility, or if you're holding out, maybe there might be another rate fall, just know that that is actually not expected and that they've been relatively stable for a very long time now. Myth number 7, down payment is my only expense. There are other costs that you're going to incur during the transaction process. First is earnest money. When your contract is accepted, typically there is a good faith payment of 0.5 to 1% of the purchase price that just goes to show, hey, I'm really serious about this house. If you were to walk away for no reason, then the seller actually gets to keep that money. Now, if the transaction goes through, or if something happens in appraisal or inspection, you actually get that money back. There's also inspection costs. Inspections, just for a normal home inspection, are anywhere from $350 to $800 depending on the size of the house and the inspector. Now, if you were to bring in other inspectors like an arborist or a structural engineer as well, some of those costs can increase a little bit. Closing costs are the costs to obtain the loan and for your prepaid taxes and setting up escrow and all that. And typically that is 2.5% to 4%. So it is good to forecast that you'll need more than just your down payment amount and that there will be some out-of-pocket costs along the way. Myth number 8, it's cheaper to rent than to own. Well, we all know that rent is on the rise and rent isn't fixed, so it can always go up. And you're building somebody else's wealth, not yours. We're going to have a whole video about this very shortly, showing you the long-term difference between renting and owning. But owning is one of the easiest ways to build wealth and best ways. Myth number 9, it's cheaper to buy a fixer-upper. Hear it all the time. And the truth is, maybe, if you have the know-how and you're willing to do all the work and you get the right opportunity, then you could actually get yourself in quite a bit of equity. However, a lot of times we get a little carried away on our upgrades, or if you're contracting this out, contractors can charge a higher rate. So a lot of times the cost of upgrades actually eats up the amount that you saved on the purchase price of the home. And lastly, permits, hidden problems, and delays can throw your renovation plan and budget off. So again, there's a contractor shortage in Nashville, so a lot of times it's a little bit more expensive. The market is really good in Nashville, so it's getting harder and harder to find that kind of deal where you can actually buy and hire out the labor and come in on top. Myth number 10, I don't need a realtor. Now there's a few things. One, a realtor is an advocate that protects your interests. When we sign an agreement, we are legally obligated to advocate on your behalf. The seller's agents and the sellers are looking out for their side. We are looking out for you. Also, a realtor is an expert in the market. They should be able to lead you to the best areas that really pertain to your criteria and also provide you with some suggestions that might work as well. They should know where the good schools are if that's important to you, where the best walkability is if that's important to you, and guide you accordingly. Lastly, realtors guide you through the process to save you time, energy, and money. There are a lot of negotiations on the way, not just price. There are a lot of due dates within the scope of the contract, and we are here to make sure that you know all those due dates and we are holding your hand through the whole process. And lastly, we're a professional that you don't pay for. Sellers typically pay the commissions for buyers' agents. So this is one of the only times in your life where you get to use a trained professional and you don't have to spend a dime on us. So please contact the Nashville Home Guys if you have any questions about the above or have any other questions. You can reach us at team@nashvillehomeguys.com. Thank you, and we'll get you moving.